In Syria, more than 60 people, including children, have been killed in airstrikes on a town held by the opposition. Airstrikes hit a market in Atmeh, a town in the northwest of the country. Witnesses say there were 3 separate strikes. The area is part of the de-escalation zone agreed by Turkey, Russia, and Iran. Now, for more, let's cross to Ahmed al Burai, who is outside Atmeh refugee camp in Idlib province. Hi, Ahmed. First of all, tell us exactly where you are and what you're now seeing.
Well, Andrea, we're in the province of Idlib. And just behind me over there, as you can see, is Atmeh refugee camp. In that camp that was established in 2012, almost 90,000 families are living there. These families escaped the airstrikes of the Syrian regime from Hama, Homs, and other provinces like Idlib and Aleppo and moved here. Now, speaking about the airstrikes, as you've said, there was an airstrike on Monday on a marketplace in Al Atarib, which is in between Idlib and Idlib province and Aleppo, almost 15 kilometers from the place where I am standing now. Now, for the opposition groups, they're speaking about the Russian strikes who carried out these attacks, killed at least 64 people. Most of them are civilians. And on the other hand, they're speaking about a kind of destabilizing the whole region with these kind of attacks that come at the time of many international leaders like Putin and Trump. In addition to Erdogan's visit to Moscow, speaking about a de-escalation and no military solution in Syria.
And Turkish Prime Minister Binali Yildirim has commented now on reports that Daesh fighters received safe transfer out of Raqqa. Clarify where those fighters have been taken, if you can, and what the Prime Minister exactly had to say about it.
Well, Andrea, Binali Yildirim, the Turkish Prime Minister, spoke about the report of the BBC, speaking about this agreement between the SDF, backed by the United States, that is predominantly controlled by the YPG, and Daesh, on the other hand, to evacuate some of their elements from Raqqa. Now, let's listen to what he had to say first.
DAEŞ'lıları temizlemek yerine
all along, the YPG and coalition forces, with help from the US military, were supposed to cleanse Raqqa from Daesh and settle civilians there. But instead of ridding Raqqa of Daesh, it turns out they have helped the group escape with their weapons. They formed a convoy of 50 semi-trailers, 13 trucks and 100 vehicles, all heavily armed, to make sure the terrorists escape safe and sound. What have we been saying to the US? That it's senseless for sovereign states to use one terror group to defeat another. And the results are showing. Who knows how many innocent people will end up being murdered by those Daesh members who have now been unleashed with their weapons.
So that's what Binali Yildirim, the Turkish Prime Minister, had to say about this deal. Turkey, as he has said, is also always repeatedly saying to the United States, their ally, that you cannot replace one terrorist organization with another. And that's part of the mission of the Turkish army here in Idlib. They've intervened in Idlib militarily for one reason, which is to destabilize the whole region with the de-escalation agreement in Asitana from the one hand, and from the other hand to prevent these terrorist organizations moving to the Mediterranean and trying to create this, what Turkey calls the terror corridor to the Mediterranean. And that's why he repeatedly telling the United States that you need to cut off all your relations with the YPG that is considered by Turkey the offshoot, the extension of the PKK terrorist organization that is carrying out terrorist acts against Turkey for almost 3 decades now. This is a very sensitive issue between the United States and Turkey, on the other hand, that needs to be solved, and things would evaluate rapidly in the coming few days unless these things are not settled.
Ahmed al Burai, thanks so much for that.